If there was just one key to guaranteeing your success and living a super easy and abundant life, what would that be? Well, get ready. I'm about to share with you exactly what that is. Coming up. Welcome to the Power of Quiet, showing you how to achieve your goals and live an awesome life. Now, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification, because what we show you here is the fastest, most effective way to getting positive, to being successful, to having abundance and real freedom in your life. So if that's something that you're interested in, then click subscribe and welcome aboard. Now, talking about success and abundance, and what is the key to that? The principle that all the great teachings all point to is the same thing. It's allowing. If you look at the ancient teachings, they say, let go and let God. And the more contemporary teachers, masters nowadays, like Eckhart Tolle, people ask, well, what is your secret to success? And he says, my secret to success is I don't mind what happens. And Lester Levinson, when obstacles showed up in his world, he didn't fight with them. He took the attitude of whatever's happening, whatever's going on, it's perfect. It's perfect exactly as it is. I don't want to change a thing. And the moment that he came from that position, that obstacle disappeared. And the solution that was beyond what he could even imagine showed up, the perfect solution. And another demonstration of this is Gandhi. Look at what he did. See, his attitude was, well, I'm not going to fight the British. I'm not going to go to war. Instead, I'm going to welcome them with open arms. I'm going to treat them like they're my brothers. I love the British. And look at what happened. They literally handed over the keys to the country, said, here you go, without firing a shot. See, that shows the power of allowing. Now, if allowing is the key to success, freedom, abundance, then what is the opposite of that? And what is the obstacle to freedom, success, and abundance? Resistance, right? You see, if allowing is being open and welcoming, resistance is being closed and pushing away. And this is something that we all do. In fact, this resistance is something that is very deeply rooted in our psyche. Like, we could see that we've grown up being taught the value of resistance. Like, you should resist germs. You should resist catching a cold. You should resist negativity. You should resist bad people. And we practice this, but really it goes even deeper than that, just being learned how resistance is a good thing. You see, even more basic than that, the essence of resistance is no. Now, researchers, a long time ago, they saw that parents, on average, told their children no like 80 times a day. No, don't do that. No, don't go there. No, sit still. No, don't get into that. No, don't say that. So it's just always no, 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 no. And we all just absorb this no. And then we start practicing it. We start then saying no to our feelings. Like when we feel disappointment, when we feel grief or fear, some sort of negative feeling, something that we don't like, we say no to that. No. And we say no to ourselves. No, I'm no good. I'm a bad person. And we also say no to situations, like when things don't go our way. Oh, no, I don't like what just happened there. And we reject it. We fight with it. We dismiss it. Now, here's the problem. When we practice no, it actually creates two problems. Number one, when we say no, it doesn't lead us in a positive direction. It leads us down in a negative direction. So like when we say no to our feelings, does that make those feelings go away, those negative feelings? No, it just builds them up more and more. Or when we say no to situations in our life, things that happen that we don't like, does that change those situations? No. In fact, it makes them stick to us, and we repeat those same patterns, and those same situations keep happening again and again and again and again. So, this shows us, how resistance and saying no is the obstacle to achieving our goals. Now, I want to point something out about how the mind works. You see, the reason why, if we say no to a situation that we don't like, how it repeats again and again, is because our mind is a simple creative instrument. And our mind just deals in pictures only. Like if I say, don't fall down, what do you get a picture of? Falling down, right? And the mind is a creative instrument. It has creative energy behind it, whatever is pictured in it. Like if you tell somebody, hey, don't spill that, what happens 2 seconds later? They inevitably knock it over, right? Whatever it is that you didn't want to be spilled. So the mind works this way, and this leads us to the second problem when we practice resistance and we say no. And this is also because of the way that the mind works. See, the mind doesn't discriminate. The mind is literal. So basically how we do anything is how we do everything. Therefore, if you're saying no to things that you don't like and things that you want to get rid of, to the same degree, whether you're aware of it or not, you're saying no to the things that you do like. And you're saying no to your goals. You're saying no to freedom. And I'm sure you can see this, how like you have goals and you have an intention to be more enlightened, to follow this path all the way to the ultimate goal of freedom. But you see, in your reactions and your feelings, how you also simultaneously resist it. Like you don't do the things that will get you there. You don't take the actions. You don't do the releasing. You don't do the spiritual work. You don't take the action steps to get your goals. And you can also see, like, when it comes to success or freedom, or good things, you can sometimes feel like a reaction, a block, like, pushing it away. And it doesn't make sense, but we all do this. So when it comes to achieving our goals, and especially achieving the ultimate goal of freedom, of liberation, pure consciousness, we must get rid of this obstacle of resistance. In fact, the only obstacle to going free is resistance. If we had no resistance, we wouldn't be pushing down any of our negativity, holding on to it. It would all just leave in an instant. And we'd be free in an instant if we had no resistance. Now, in a moment, I'm going to show you how to take some initial steps to letting go of the resistance and show you how easy it is when you do it. But first, let's just take a look at some of the ways that we play it out, how we demonstrate resistance in our lives, and what it costs us. All right? Now, we can resist in very obvious ways that we can experience and we go, oh yeah, there, I'm doing it. Those are ways that we often really feel it. Like, we feel it most often when there are things that we have to do that we don't want to do, whether it's with work or with, projects and tasks at home or whatever. It's like, oh, I got to do that thing. And we have resistance to doing it, but we got to do it anyway. So we do it anyway. And what is that experience like? It's a struggle. There's so much effort. And the whole time our mind's nagging at us, oh, I don't like this. This sucks. I wish I could be sitting on a beach someplace else. But we got to do the stuff. And it drags out and it ends up taking like 5 times as long as it should to complete it. So we see how we do that. Now, talking about how we do anything is how we do everything. If we start practicing that with things that we don't like, notice how that just shows up in everything that we do. So we resist everything that we're doing all day long. Oh, I got to do that. Oh, I don't want to do that. Oh, I got to go over there and do that thing. Oh, and I got to go pick up this person and take them someplace. Oh, I don't want to do that. And so our whole day is just this practice of resistance. And by the time we get home, we feel like we're beaten and just out of energy. Like, I just want to go to bed and recharge so I can go and fight through another day. Right? Haven't you experienced that? So, this resistance, we could see, it shows up in very obvious ways how we do it. And we see what it costs us. It makes life no fun. Every day is a drag. It's a battle. It saps us of all of our energy. And we're doing that. Now, resistance is also something that can be very subtle. We don't even realize what's going on. And this shows up in little habits that we have, like procrastination. So, like we have something we don't want to do, so, I'm just not going to do it. We put it off. And we avoid it. And usually, while we're avoiding it, it's like an outward thing. It's like we think that we're taking the easy road by not doing that thing that's so difficult or that we don't like. But we're still resisting it. And we're still carrying it with us. It's still in the back of our mind. Oh, I still have to do that thing. It's like hanging over our head. So we're still resisting it and going around with that heaviness with us. So we're not avoiding anything. But also, when we do these little habits, procrastination, escaping, and so on, we do that with everything. So we start doing it with things, avoiding things that we don't want to do. But then, again, how you do anything is how you do everything. So you procrastinate doing your goals. You procrastinate doing the work that will bring you to much more happiness, lightness, and freedom. And so these little subtle habits, then, they get in your way. They're an obstacle. Now, finally, let's just look at another subtle way that we resist. And that is rationalizing. Like, we say, well, I'm not going to do something because it's so much effort and it's much better and kinder to myself not to do it. I'm going to go easy on myself. I'm going to be kind to myself, to not put myself in a position that bothers me, to keep myself in a nice, peaceful space. So in a way that, we rationalize not being confrontational with our resistance. So we stay safe. We play small. We stay in our own little bubble. And we rationalize it. Hey, it's just being nice to myself. It's being gentle with myself. But here's what we do. We don't reach out. We don't flex our muscles. We don't stretch ourselves, expand ourselves. And we stay in our little bubble. We stay in our nice little safe space. And what does this cost us? If we look at our life as it progresses, doing this for 5 years, 10 years, and we look at that period of time that we just played it safe, avoiding things that bother us, then we see we really made very little growth, if any at all. And if we have an intention to getting goals, to going free, then we look at, wow, look at all that time that I wasted because I was just avoiding confronting the things that bother me, that I'm resisting, right? So I want you to really take a look at how you're resisting. If any of these resonate with you, and really take account about what it's costing you. And is it worth it to you to keep doing that? Because it is you who's doing it. It's your choice. It's your decision. Now, some of us, we think, well, this resistance, it's a program, and I'm a slave to it. I have no control over it. I have no control over my reactions, my avoidances to procrastinate. I just do it, and I can't stop doing it. Garbage. See, once you decide to get bigger than that resistance, so be it. You can. But it's up to you. So that's why I say, I encourage you to take a look at what you're doing, what it's costing you, and what it's worth in order for you to let go of your resistance. Now let me ask you this. What could you do with ease in your life if you had no resistance? Just take a look. Imagine that. If you had no resistance, how easy would your life be? And if you had no resistance, what would you have the courage to reach out for and really go after? With certainty, with clarity, with confidence, if you had no resistance. And if you had no resistance, what would stop you from going all the way and having this pure consciousness like you've seen from these masters, Lester Levinson, Yogananda, Ramana Maharshi, and the like? Just imagine that. Now, that resistance is something that you must decide to drop, decide to get bigger than, to move beyond and say, I'm bigger than that. And I'm going for my goals. I'm going for freedom. And I'll show you how to get started on that. But first, if this resonates with you, I just want to let you know that in a couple of upcoming classes, in the Goals and Winning class that I'm doing here in November in Bucharest, we're going to be focusing on resistance and really spotting it in all of its forms and pulling it out in a very deep and effective way. Just pulling it out, eliminating it, so we can get to this place where there is no resistance. And what you imagine that your life could be like with no resistance, you're going to see that in this course. And we're also going to be doing this in the Conscious Creation course, the 6-week course that's going to be starting in January. So if you're really serious about it and you really want, a lot of help and guidance on how to spot that resistance and effectively eliminate it permanently, then check it out. I'm going to put links to those classes in the description below. All right? So let's get started though. Now, take a look at something that you're resisting doing in your life. Let's look at that, because we all have things that we resist doing. Whether they're positive things like working on our goals or negative things like, I got to do that thing. All right? Think about something that you're resisting doing. You got something in mind? Now, when you think about that thing, notice that resistance. And you could feel that resistance, right? It's kind of like a feeling. Or you can just kind of see that, there's a pattern, or you can feel it as like this mental block or this noise in your mind, like a complaining little voice. And you can measure it. So measure that resistance on a scale of 0 to 10. 10 being the most resistant, most negative, and 0 being the least resistant or most positive. Just measure where you're at. All right, you got that? Now, notice that resistance, it has a feeling, right? And you see it, and you're like, like I'm at an 8 with that. And that resistance, can you see that you're also saying no to it? So basically, if resistance itself is an expression of no, then what you're doing is you're resisting the resistance. Because let's be honest, you don't like the resistance, right? You don't like the effort. You don't like that negativity. So the attitude is just no. Right? Now, when you say no to that resistance, does that make the resistance go away? No. In fact, it builds it up, right? It makes that resistance stronger. So, since saying no doesn't work, let's do the opposite. Are you willing to do the opposite? Yeah? All right. So, look at that resistance. Whatever you measured it at, whether it's a 4, a 6, an 8, 10, maybe you measured it as like a 32. Whatever that is. Just look at that resistance and say yes to it. Just say yes to the resistance. And say yes to that resistance even more. And say yes to that resistance even more. And say yes to it even more. And say yes to it even more. And say yes to the resistance even more. And even more. And say yes to it even more. And even more. And say yes to it even more. And even more. And say yes to it even more. And even more. Now measure yourself again. See if you moved. See if that number dropped, like from an 8 to a 4, or 4 to 0. Notice the difference? And notice if you feel a little bit lighter. You notice that? All right, see, that's showing you that you're letting go of the resistance. You're not forcing it down and holding on to it. It's leaving. And that lighter feeling is showing you that it's leaving. And it's showing you the positivity that's already inside of you that was covered up by the resistance. Just notice that. See, that positivity is already there. You don't need to, do affirmations or program yourself to be positive or hold in mind positive images. You're already positive. Just let go of the negativity, the resistance, and it shows up in this lighter feeling. This is your first taste of it. All right? So now that you got some energy flowing, now let go of pushing down on the rest of the resistance. And just let it come up. Allow that resistance to arrive. Let go of holding it down. Just let it come up now. Open up. You can just imagine a big door opening up right in front of you, an imaginary door. And just imagine that resistance, like negative energy, or just energy, moving right on out the door. So it's not negative, it's just energy. It's not good or bad. Just see it as energy passing through. And welcome it up even more. And just let it pass through. Even more. And even more. And let it go even more. And even more. And if you have to use your imagination, you can. Just imagine that energy just moving right on out the door. Imagine it leaving. Whatever that looks like to you. And watch it leave even more. And 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 how does that feel? Just notice how it feels, having that door open, and just with that energy moving through, even if it's in there. Just the fact that it's moving through, doesn't that feel good and light and easy? Now welcome up some more. If that feels good, invite up even more and just open up and let that go. And just allow that energy to pass through. Let it leave. And more. And even 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 more. And how does that feel? Notice if you feel even lighter. Right? And that's just showing you that you're letting the resistance go. And what a relief that is. So you don't have to say no to it. You don't have to fight with it. You don't have to carry it around with you. You do the opposite. You say yes. See, this is the power. This is the secret that all the great ones have been talking about. The power of allowing. Because if resistance, the essence of that is no, the essence of allowing is yes. And that's how you're dealing with the resistance. Instead of saying no to it, which is just like throwing a log on a fire, just building up even more, you counteract it just with yes, allowing. And that dissolves away the negativity and showing you the freedom, the lightness, the happiness, the joy, the love, the abundance that is within you. Already, right now, always has been, and forever will be. You don't need to go looking for it. It's right inside of you. Right inside of you right now. To achieve all of your goals. And now, when you think about that thing that you're resisting, whether it's a negative thing or a positive thing, take a look at that situation, that thing, and see how you feel about it now. See if you feel differently, more open and positive. So like if it's something that was negative, like something you have to do, oh, okay, got to do that for work or whatever. Maybe now it says like, oh, not so bad. And you could do it without all the heaviness and fighting and struggling. It's like, oh, I'll just do it, get it done, no big deal. Notice that? Or if it's something like a goal, something positive that you are resisting, see if you're freer to really go for it now. Notice that? So again, this shows that resistance is the obstacle to freedom and abundance. And if you're to let go of resistance, that it just opens up your life. Again, imagine how easy would your life be if you had no resistance? How would you feel if you had no resistance? What are some words that come to mind? Open, easy, happy, in the flow, right? And what would it be worth for you to focus in on that resistance and let it all go so you could have that? Would that be worth it to you? Or would you rather continue doing things the way you have been doing and keep on doing them like that forever? It's up to you to turn that around. And again, if you really want to jump in and take a master course on eliminating that resistance, totally, then join me in Bucharest for the Goals and Winning course, or in January for the online live Conscious Creation Master course. I'll put the links below so you can check them out. And in the meantime, just keep bringing up your resistance. Keep spotting that feeling. It's just a feeling. Invite it up, say yes to it, and let it go.